Good evening, everybody. The Badass Buddha here, Dr. Lori Monaco, and I had um, a scheduled whatever live video for 7:30. It is now 8:19, and so I'm a little bit behind schedule, but I had something come up, so I couldn't get on. So I'm going to make this really, really quick. This was part two. I did a part one at 3:30 today, and I'm doing a part two today at 7:30 originally, but now it's almost 8:30. And it is Create Great Health Now. And the conversation at 3:30, in case you missed it, was on inflammation. And this is going to be part two of that conversation. Why talk about inflammation? And I'm going to make this quick. I am not going to go 30 minutes. I just want to get some key points out to all of you. And why talk about inflammation? Because inflammation leads to so many health issues. And we do not realize how inflamed we are. And if you caught the 3:30 conversation, I was talking about inflammation with regards to what we put into our bodies, the foods that we put into our bodies, how the certain foods that we eat can increase our inflammation systemically, meaning throughout our whole body, which will lead to other diseases. And the most common diseases that increased inflammation leads to are things like cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, joint problems, fibromyalgia. There is rashes. What else do we have? Depression and anxiety, headaches, sleep disorders, chest pain, abdominal pain, digestive problems, and cancers. Not to mention that other situations or other diseases or disorders like autoimmune diseases, although inflammation doesn't cause them, they are a result of an overzealous immune response, which is inflammation is part of. And so it ends up happening. It's like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? It's is this one causing it? And then it leads to this, or does this lead to that? But the bottom line is this: if we have too much inflammation in our systems, we will have health issues. So putting certain foods into our system is going to increase inflammation. It's going to cause problems for us. One of the biggest disease in our country is cardiovascular disease. It has the highest level of morbidity and mortality rates, mortality. It's been a long day. So if inflammation has been associated with cardiovascular disease, which it has, research has shown that, then wouldn't it be wise to keep our inflammation down? So selling people on the point that what you're feeling, pain that you're feeling every single day, and digestive disorders and headaches and mood swings and hormone imbalances and depression and anxiety has to do with the food that you take in, isn't always a popular sell, because people do not want to give up their favorite foods. So that is why I had that earlier discussion to explain that the foods cause inflammation, which can cause these other problems. And the more you add this to your system, like the more you aggravate your system, the more inflammation you will have and the greater the problems. However, cutting out foods isn't just the only thing. Cutting out foods that irritate the system is not the only answer. Inflammation is very complicated. So I gave a really quick synopsis, really quick education on how the body works. And I'm going to do the same really quickly here. So the immune system is part of our defense system. It is very key to help battle things like viruses and bacteria, tissue damage, things like that. It is a system that it works certain times of the day. It works more so. So it really kicks in when you're resting, and especially it works at night. That's when it's really kicking in. So when you're sleeping, if you're getting a really good night's sleep, your immune system will be much more. It will work better for you. Okay, and it's part of what we call like the rest and digest area. It's like when we calm down and we feel sleepy, that's when the immune system likes to really kick in. That's why when you get sick, you get so tired, especially if it's a virus and you have a fever. Your body just wants to go to sleep and do what it needs to do and take all its energy and put it into the immune system. Inflammation is part of the immune system, and it is a normal part. The thing with inflammation is we don't want it to go crazy. We don't want it to go be constant. Inflammation is only supposed to be there for when it's needed, and then it, goes back. Everything calms right back down. And that's the thing about our body. It's about balance. So part 2 of the inflammation conversation is what else can cause inflammation of the body. And this is surprising to a lot of people, that one of the things that can cause inflammation is stress. Considering the fact that we are a very stressed out society. So stress can cause inflammation. Okay. So this has been proven with research and let me explain something to you about stress. First of all, stress is not a bad thing per se. Our body needs stress. Any change that occurs in our body, there's stress that is behind it. And if we split our body into 2 parts, we split our body into a really highly active, energetic part known as the sympathetic nervous system, also known as our fight and flight system. It's the one that we can handle emergencies in. When your heart rate goes up and you start getting hot and sweaty and all that stuff, that's that system. Okay. On the opposite scale is our parasympathetic system, the rest and digest. This is the thing that allows us to sort of calm down and sort of take in everything that's come into our bodies, like the foods that we ate, and break it down and digest it and absorb it and let the body use it. It's also the repair process. So when we calm down at night or during the day, if you get tired after you eat, that system is the one that kicks in. And it's this really beautiful balance that our body works with, and that balance is called homeostasis. It's the balance of the body. If we are really hyped up, that if in order for us to get to this level and deal with an emergency, other systems have to downgrade a little bit. They have to lower their energetic levels so that this systems that are associated with the emergencies can work. And then vice versa, that when you want to get these other systems online that are dealing with digestion and repair, it's a restful state. So the systems that are up here, like your heart pumping really fast, your breathing being fast, those all calm down to let the energy go into the repair and digest and rest process. So it's this constant balance, right? And when we have an emergency situation and we go into stress, we go into this sympathetic mode, fight or flight mode. We're supposed to be there. Certain chemicals are released. Our body responds a certain way. And pretty much all animals with some sort of advanced nervous system, even a remotely advanced nervous system, can handle stress. But the key is that they can handle acute stress, short-term stress. And when we have short-term stress, we have certain chemicals that are released. We have things like adrenaline, noradrenaline, and we have something called cortisol. And cortisol gets this bad reputation. It's a stress hormone. It gets this bad reputation. And so the cortisol, though, is necessary. Cortisol does a lot of great things. I mean, cortisol controls blood pressure, it controls blood sugar, it regulates metabolism, it decreases inflammation, it balances salt and water, and it regulates like other systems, like it downregulates like the immune system and such, because its job is to deal with stress. Okay, and in short term, it's perfect. However, most of what we have in our lives is long-term stress. Chronic stress, our bodies are not designed to handle long-term stress. So what happens is that the emergency goes away, but the constant thing in your head that's playing through going, I'm bothered by this. This is really annoying to me. It's constantly playing. And even though your heart rate might not be up and your blood pressure might not be up, your cortisol levels stay up. In fact, there was a study done where they, years after an abusive situation, they had a group of girls who were sexually abused and as, young teens. And years after the abuse, the cortisol levels were still elevated. And cortisol, after a long period of time, will start to actually cause problems. So the regulation process that it normally has, that's great, is actually going to cause problems in the system. And one of the things that has been associated with elevated long-term stress is inflammation. And again, if inflammation in the body, systemic long-term inflammation, can cause things like cardiovascular disease, cancers, pain in the joints, potentially increase the risk of fibromyalgia, lead to or cause more problems with autoimmune disease, headaches, not sleeping well. This will take its toll on the body. The body will never be able to down-regulate the systems properly so that they can do, or not down-regulate, I'm saying it wrong, that the systems that were down-regulated, like your immune system, your defense system, and the digestive system, will not be able to function properly. So stress is a really key player in so many things. And in this case, we're talking about inflammation. So what do you do? Okay, if you have a lot of stress in your life, what are you supposed to do? Well, first you have to think about in terms of, can I, get out of these stressors? What is it? Identify the stressor. So one of the things that I said I was going to do is that I was going to give you a tip. Okay, so in the 3:30 conversation, I was talking to you about making better choices with food, staying away from foods that cause inflammation, and also hydrating yourself, drinking a lot of water or more water. We usually are very dehydrated. We don't think so, but we are, especially little kids. Now, the other tip for this one is how do you get rid of these stresses? Well, one of the things is you need to first identify what the stresses are. So it really helps to make a list, whether you keep a journal or you just want to grab a piece of paper and you write what are your stresses. And it's really important for you to be very honest with yourself about this, that you want to know what your stresses are. And if it's your kids, then you write that. There's nothing wrong. I mean, my kids stress me out. I mean, I love my children, but and I'm not saying my kids in general stress me out. It's certain situations with my kids. So you want to be honest with yourself. Maybe it's your significant other. Maybe it's your job. Maybe it's certain friends. Maybe it's family members. Maybe it's your household, your car, whatever it is, you want to write those down and you want to be honest with yourself so that you can deal with them. Okay. The next thing is that once you identify these things, you want to see can any of these change? What can I do to alter these? What can I do to end these? What can I do to change these? And then if you can if you can figure out ways to either take some of that stress out of your life or lessen the stress in some way. Maybe you ask for help. Maybe you look for another job. Maybe you get out of the house and practice more self-care, because that's another piece too. If you're not practicing self-care, you are not you're not helping yourself to decrease your stress. So even if there's certain things that you cannot change, practicing self-care is going to make a difference. All right. The other thing is that you can do a couple things very simply. You can meditate. Now, a lot of people say, I don't like meditating. I can't meditate really well. Let's not get into the whole gist of clearing your mind and stuff like that. Just think of meditation in the beginning as just sitting still and just being quiet. But you want to be in an area where you can get away and really enjoy yourself, like really just squeeze some time for yourself. It might even be in your car, park somewhere, just close your eyes, sit up straight. And the other one is breathing. You want to breathe. Take breaths in. What I like to teach clients is take a breath in on a count of 5 and then breathe out on a count of 5. And just do this for at least 2 minutes, preferably 5, and even longer if you want to. Just your breath alone, just being aware of your breath and taking the breaths in and out very calmly and very smoothly can really shift people. All right. And that can decrease a lot of your stress. The other one is laughing. I teach a laughter class. We talk about why laughter is so good. We talk about the chemicals that are released with laughter. We also talk about how to laugh, the different types of laughs. And, just forcing a laugh can actually get you to start naturally laughing. And that can shift you as well and decrease your stress hormones and increase your happy hormones and your happy chemicals. So try that one day. Sit in your car or somewhere where nobody can hear you so that they don't think you're a whack job. Or maybe you want them to think you're a whack job, and that's the beauty of it. And just force laughter out. If it helps, watch something that makes you laugh, some show that you know, or bloopers or something like that. And just make yourself laugh and force the laugh out. And do this. If you could laugh for 10 minutes straight per day, that is going to relieve a ridiculous amount of your stress. Is it going to get rid of your problems? No. Okay. I don't know. Maybe it will. Maybe people will be afraid of you and they just won't bother you anymore. That would be fabulous. But it's not about changing things necessarily. That's a totally different conversation. All this is about is just allowing you to respond to the moment. Okay. And if you can't change your circumstances, at least decrease your stress. So try those tips: breathing, sitting still, and what I say, laughing. Okay. And that right there, a little bit every day can help reduce inflammation. Why? Because it's helping reduce stress levels. And remember, the big underlying factor here of most disease and problems is inflammation, or should I say too much and prolonged inflammation. Inflammation is good when it needs to be there, but when it doesn't need to be there, it needs to go. So I thank you so much for listening. And listen, if you need any more information on anything else, please feel free to look me up. Go onto my website, www.drlorimonaco.com. I'm also found on Facebook, as you can see, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. It's Align Yourself Inc. And on TikTok, it is The Badass Buddha. So if you need any more information, please feel free to reach out to me and find out all about my programs. Thanks so much for listening, and have a great night.